So good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. If you're in the middle of the country or on the West Coast, my name is Danny Rubin, I'm the founder of our company called Rubin. Welcome to those of you who are joining our webinar for the first time. This is our 5th webinar since the world turned upside down in March. And we touch on so many different topics, resumes and networking and leadership. And today we're doing virtual internships. And so excited to talk about this topic. And it's sort of something none of us were probably thinking about all that much a few months ago. And now it's the most important topic to a successful internship opportunity. So what I will do is give you brief background on me, so you understand where I'm coming from, where our instruction comes from. And then we're going to look at some exercises together that you can use to put together what we build as a world-class virtual internship. And really put some great pieces in place that students can do from anywhere that will teach them and simulate for them life in an office, professional development skills that they can carry with them to a future internship, to a job, to a college, and beyond. So again, my name is Danny Rubin, and our company is Rubin. We're based in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And my background before getting into curriculum development and education was a TV news reporter. Some of you who've been on webinars, you could probably say this part for me, but for the new folks, they have to know, we talk to students a lot about context, putting information in context. So I was a TV news reporter for a CBS TV station in Virginia, covering local news every night. And then I left that role and went to Washington, D.C. and was a consultant for Meet the Press on NBC News. And then I moved back to Virginia Beach, went back down south a few hours, and have worked the past 7 years in a field called public relations. Anybody in this webinar teach marketing, entrepreneurship, PR? Love to see if there's any of those folks here. So we help clients with their messaging and with their branding and their reputation. And so we've taken all of the skills from the field, all of the skills from writing and speaking and interviewing and telling stories, and all of those skills are great, not just for journalists and PR professionals, but also for job seekers and also for interns. We need those skills in every phase of our lives. So what I'm showing you today are examples and techniques that journalists use in the field every day that you can apply to your college or career opportunities, especially with internships as well, when we are communicating with employers or simulating that experience, as many students will have to do this summer. Okay, so let me share my screen. And the first thing that I want to share with everybody, let me get my chat back up. Hopefully you can all see my screen. What I'm sharing with you is where our knowledge and our information is going to come from today. And we are drawing from the Rubin online platform called Emerge. And it's used in high schools, universities, CTE programs in particular, to help students learn to communicate effectively as they pursue college and career opportunities. And we're going to draw from some of these themes today to give you some actionable exercises that you can use to put together your own virtual internship. So just to briefly show you what's here. So again, you have context and background. In our program, it's driven through showing students examples and templates. And we do that through 3 different ebooks. Some of you might have these books, or at least one of them from a conference where we engaged. And each book covers a set of writing and speaking examples that they can refer to and then practice off of. The blue book, Wait, How Do I Write This Email? Writing and Speaking Skills for Employability and Networking. Wait, How Do I Promote My Business? Writing and Speaking for Entrepreneurship. Wait, How Do I Lead My Team? Writing and Speaking Skills for Leadership and Management and Being Part of a Team. And we show students examples, hundreds of examples to reference, so they can have a starting point to hold their own conversations. Instructional videos, instructional audio files, to show them best practices of how to communicate. We also have digital badges students can earn from a distance where they show off the different skills they've gained, like email etiquette, for instance, when they complete different sets of exercises. And we're going to draw from some of these boxes today, but we cover skills like email etiquette, learning how to construct an effective, good-looking email, life skills 101, learning how to talk to new people and engage with employers and faculty members appropriately, phone etiquette skills, speaking on the phone, leaving voicemails, phone interviews. We cover networking skills, networking emails, resumes. Those of you who were on our webinar several weeks ago, we talked about storytelling cover letters. and learning to share a moment from our experience that demonstrates our work ethic. Internship and job outreach correspondence, LinkedIn profile creation, job interview preparation. We also cover finding a great business concept, writing skills for sales, pitches and outreach, writing the pages of a website like a personal portfolio or a startup website, public relations like how to write a press release, fundraising writing like how to do a Kickstarter page or grant application, and lastly, writing skills for managers, covering leadership skills, communicating as a manager or learning to do so, communicating with clients appropriately. We're going to talk about a theme from that box in just a few minutes. Project management related communication, we're going to touch on that as well. Public speaking training, learning to write effective reports and summaries about work you've done, even from a distance, and activities for student leaders. Anybody here an advisor to a CTSO, FBLA, DECA, FFA, Skills USA, or even on the college side, an on-campus coordinator? Exercises to help students learn HOSA, great, BPA, so helping students to learn how to communicate when they are in a student leadership role as well. So our program is a library of topics that are distance learning. We also have printable worksheet versions of our online material for students without reliable internet when they are at home. So I wanted to give you background on where our instruction is coming from, and I'm going to give you several activities you can take straight from this webinar and you can add to your own planning. But I wanted you to see again where it's all coming from. I also want to share that we've put together a guide that will help, I hope all of you, many of you. Can everybody see my PowerPoint slide right now that says virtual internship online curriculum? Can everybody see that? Okay, so we have put together, let me make this a little bit bigger. We have put together a 10-page outline for a virtual internship, the curriculum to help guide you, covering all of these themes you see on the right. Learning how to research the industry, email etiquette, phone etiquette, how to hold virtual Q&As with employers, resumes, cover letters, job interview, client communications, project management, report writing, networking, LinkedIn, and reflections and final presentations. We have put together a 10-page outline with suggested activities and themes, and even full activities, 16 full activities you could take and incorporate into your planning. So I'd love for everybody to have this, and I'll tell you in just a second how to get it, how to ask for it. We will share this slide deck as well, but I'll show everyone how to get them in just a moment. And for anybody who missed one of our previous webinars, we also put together an email etiquette lesson plan, okay? So we put together, take a second and read what you see here. This is a 6 to 8 hour ready to go lesson plan teaching students how to write a good looking email. And when students complete these exercises, they can earn a digital badge in advanced email etiquette. You'll notice we're teaching students how to put an email together piece by piece. Our company is all about making instruction simple, broken down, easy little parts for students to obtain and understand even from a distance, so they can learn a critical skill. I mean, raise your hand or tell me if your student email etiquette drives you a little bonkers, especially during distance learning. Let me hear from you. I see a lot of hands being, oh my gosh, the hand raise is just like exploded. I'm sure it's a problem. So our company really takes pride in going right after that issue, teaching students effective email etiquette, because that is such an important skill today, especially with students at home. So if you would like either that outline for the virtual internship curriculum or the email etiquette lesson plan or both, please type interested in the chat with your email address. Type interested with your email address. And what we will do, as we've done in previous talks or previous webinars, for folks who are new, we will set up a 5-minute call in the coming days to help you make sense of this outline and make it fit into your planning. I'd rather talk about it than just throw it at you and say, here you go. And also, because we're heading to a holiday weekend and I want to have these discussions sooner than later, if this upcoming weekend or Memorial Day is okay to speak, please mention that in the chat as well, so we can put it on the calendar for the next few days rather than have to wait beyond the next work week. So if the weekend or Memorial Day is okay, let us know, and we'll just take 10 minutes of the weekend, give you this outline, and then you can run off and start getting to your planning. I know we're in a critical time, and we don't want to waste time. We want to just start putting it together and feel like we have a plan. Okay? This is for the folks that have not been part of our webinars before. We want to help you understand our material and how you can implement. Okay? Now, I'll give you a second to finish typing. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to having some conversations, seeing what's going on in your world. Continue to type interested if you'd like. I want to keep us moving. Guess what? Got another webinar coming at you. Mark it down. Thursday, June 4th, same time. Now we're covering how to be the most engaging online instructor at your school. Let's think about it. We all are going to have to turn into, guess what? TV news reporters, looking into that camera lens and giving a report, holding people's attention. Okay? So we're going to talk about presentation styles, how to keep their attention, keep them engaged, keep them looking at you, watching you, listening to you, responding to you, looking forward to their time with you. We all know next year is going to be some weird hybrid of in-class or online or who knows what. But we know that Zoom chats are going to be part of our world for a while. So let's get together and talk about learning how to be dynamic presenters, drawing again upon what TV reporters and news anchors do every day, and teaching you how to think in the same way to be the most engaging online instructor at your school. Okay, so mark that down. We're going to put the link to that webinar in an email probably later today, but I'd love for you to be part of that as well. Let's keep this dialogue going and prepare for what's to come. All right. Lastly, before we dive in, what are we going to do today? Here's what we're going to do. We are going to learn 5 different practical skills you can apply to your virtual internship. We're going to learn how to write a LinkedIn profile summary, AKA an elevator pitch. And this can help students in multiple directions, doing one exercise. We're going to learn how to request and have a virtual Q&A with an employer. We're going to learn how to provide a status report on recent tasks. If a student actually has an internship and is doing work from home, or even if they don't, learning how to communicate with a superior. Learning how to practice sensitive client communications. Employers today need to know they can trust a student to one day be not just an intern, but an employee and communicate on behalf of that company in an appropriate way. And we're going to learn how to do a final presentation with some thoughts on how to write that reflection and do it through video as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. Let me hop out of here and let's go back. Hopefully we can all still see the screen. All right, let's dive in to our first topic. And let's talk about how you can take these skills, and we will share this recording, okay, with everybody so you can look back on this. And many of these exercises are also in the outline we've created. So you'll be able to see it a couple different ways. Let's hop over to learning how to write a LinkedIn profile summary. Hopefully we're all familiar with LinkedIn, and we know that LinkedIn gives us that initial paragraph to talk about who we are and why we matter and what we're all about. And we have examples in our program for how to write that paragraph as a student. So we've turned on our reading tool that dims the screen and just shows us the one part we want to look at. And we have a 3-part model I encourage you to use with students, because if students learn to write this intro paragraph, they can use it not just on LinkedIn, but in a portfolio. They can use it in conversations with employers. They can use it on a cover letter. They can use this intro of who am I, all kinds of places. Okay, so let's talk about how we put together that summary. And we haven't touched on this yet in previous webinars. So hopefully for the folks who have been here, this is something new. We have 3 different steps to writing this paragraph. And the first step is called, who are you really? Okay, we want to explain not just our name, but what we like, what we're all about. So this is a college student, or for high school, it works the same way. I'm a junior at Big State University who majors in computer science and minors in mathematics. So we're saying, I go to this school, I'm this year, and this is what I'm interested in. Okay, so students are able to say in one line, say a lot about who they are in one sentence. Then step 2, we go deeper. What do you do? You might say I'm a tech geek because I spend a lot of time in the school's computer lab, where we learn to deconstruct laptops and build them back together. I'm vice president of the campus computer club and love to pick apart a motherboard or hard drive and help people with their computer challenges. Can anybody, we talked a lot with students about being detail oriented. Can someone share with me a detail, a proper noun, something tangible that they see in this paragraph that jumps out to the reader? Give me an example of a noun. Motherboard. Yep, what else? Tech geek. Yep. How about that? Vice president, campus computer club, right? We want students to, and we talked about this so much on our webinars, we want students to talk in tangibles, hard, actual nouns, real things, not just a lot of adjectives. We want to stay away from adjectives. We want to talk about what we do, the skills we have. That's what matters to the reader. That's what matters to decision makers. Okay. Then the last line, and we call it bring them home. This is a line, and you can think about this for your own job too. Why do you wake up and do the work you do? Especially right now when it's probably as challenging as it's ever been. Why do you do it? We want students to think about, what impact do I hope to make once I either graduate or move to the next phase of my education? Let the students share, what impact do you want to have on the world? So here's the example. When I graduate, I hope to find a job that uses computers and the latest technology to make the world a smarter place. So what did we do here? We are showing that we're not just thinking about ourselves and what the world is going to do for us. We are thinking about others. And we're going to return to that theme throughout today. And we've talked about it many times over the spring, is that we always want students to think about what they're passionate about and what they want to do in the context of making a difference for someone else. Because if you can help somebody else, you will have the impact you want to have. So even in a LinkedIn profile summary, let's go back up. Who we are and our interests, what we do with detail and keywords, specifics, and then the last line, what is it all about? And even for yourself, even after the webinar today, think about, what's your bring them home line? Why are you working so hard to figure out how to make it a dynamic internship experience? What is the whole point? Why do it? Why spend the time? Why rack your brain? That answer could be the last line in your LinkedIn profile summary right now, because you're working hard to make a difference for someone else. And that's what it's all about. Okay. So I give you this model and say, take this idea and use it any way you want in the course of an internship. Have students articulate to themselves and to you and to their classmates, who am I, what do I do, and why do I matter? And from there, they can go forth into the world and talk with all kinds of people with a full understanding of their own value. Okay, so I wanted to start there, give you something that you can use multiple ways that helps students learn to promote themselves, because I know you're hearing from students and you know that right now, many of them are feeling isolated and they're despondent, not all that motivated. And heading into a summer where they can't intern somewhere physically, that's even more challenging. And what we want is to give them exercises that make them feel that they are full of purpose and that they are building towards something, even though they are not going out in the world and doing what they expected to do. They are still taking steps from home safely to build upon their college or career opportunities. And I want to make sure that that feeling comes through in the things we're talking about today. All right, let's go to our next topic. And thank you for those of you who said you were interested in our curriculum outline for virtual internships. I'll return to that towards the end. Make sure as you're commenting that you are typing all panelists and attendees so we can all see what you're saying. All right, let's switch our focus now. We talked about promoting ourselves, okay? Now let's talk about learning to engage with employers. We don't have to be at a true internship to talk with employers. We can do it from a distance. And quite frankly, let's think about it in new ways. Yes, we can actually now have a Q&A with any employer or employee we want anywhere on earth. We're no longer limited to just the people inside the four walls where we intern. We can reach out to anybody. and ask for their time. But to get their time and to get their attention, we have to ask the right way. But I want you to think about a virtual internship as actually opening doors, expanding opportunity, creating new conversations that would have never happened. Let's turn negatives into positives as much as we can. And let's help students to start conversations with employers to learn about different industries from home. So to do that, you'll see some familiar themes return. And here is a set of questions. We have a virtual internship cluster of exercises here in our program. And here's a set of questions to ask for students to prepare to ask the employer. Okay, so let's talk about them. First are 1 or 2 questions related to the person's career path. Okay, so we first want to research the employer. I read your website bio and see you do a lot of work with 3D printing. What's the coolest 3D project you've ever printed? Okay, I see folks raising their hands. I hope that they appreciate. I mean, you tell me, doesn't it feel good when someone knows a little bit about you before they interview in front of you for a job or an opportunity, versus you saying, have you had a chance to look at our website and the answer is a blank stare? I just read an article this past week about virtual interns or virtual job shadows at an auto body repair shop. And the employer said specifically, I want students to come in having looked up our company first. It makes a tremendous difference. You can still be remembered. You can still be memorable, even though you're not there. They will still remember your name if you do more than what's asked or expected. Okay, so we're gonna first look up the employer. Can somebody tell me, and where you would advise your students, if you wanted to look up the employer's bio, where would you direct the students online to look that information up? Where would you send them? LinkedIn, hey Marav. Org website, right? The information is there, right? It's sitting right there. We don't have to strain our neck to find some basic bio information on this person. We just have to look it up and think about these opportunities in different ways. Again, I keep returning to, you have to show that you care about other people before they're going to care about you. Okay? That's right. Let me Google that for you exactly. Okay? Next thing. Here we go again with that research. 1 or 2 examples of recent projects from the company website to prove you did your research. Okay? Searching pages like news, blog, or press releases to explore and learn. We talked about this in previous webinars too. The best page, the golden nuggets on a company are on the press releases page. Don't tell your students to look up the company and they're just going to go to the mission statement and the About Us page. That's right, Katrina. We have to show we care about other people first. That's how doors open. So we want students to spend time on the website and challenge them. Say, before this virtual interview, or this virtual Q&A, I should say, tell me something you learned on their website. And it has to be more than their About Us page. You need to tell me about a project you read about so that they can bring that up in the Q&A. Okay? And they can ask a question about that project. That's how you impress somebody. Then, to my next point, 1 or 2 questions you learned, 1 or 2 questions about the recent projects you identified. Now, I see you do a lot of marketing campaigns with healthcare companies. Do you feel there's an opportunity for your team in the healthcare space? Okay, so we want to have a question ready about what we researched. So we're taking it even further than they would have ever expected. And this is, again, coming from a student who asked for this Q&A out of the blue because they were motivated to do so from home, making the most of this opportunity. Then they have great questions prepared. If I'm an employer, I am marking this student's name and saying, boy, if we ever start hiring again, I'm going to go back to this young person. Okay? Because it makes a tremendous difference to prepare. Then, 1 question to gain college or career advice. If you were back in my shoes and wanted to enter the industry, what would you suggest I do? Something like that. Have a question ready about, give me your wisdom. Make me smarter. And if a student rolls into a Q&A with those notes and questions prepared, it will be a successful opportunity. They will leave their mark. They will not be forgotten. Okay? These are the simple little, and it doesn't take but so long to research this, although we suggest in our curriculum outline that students do this Q&A multiple times over the summer or fall with different people. Keep setting up Q&As. Do them from home often, not one time to check the box like we did it. Do it often. Meet new people. Practice your communication skills, your listening skills, and we're going to talk about listening skills next. Have them engage with people throughout the duration of your internship, because they can do this from home, and they may have people's undivided attention in ways that they may not have had in a physical office setting, where the boss is running this way and that. The intern sometimes is sitting in a corner, not being, brought along. These are moments where you actually could have someone's 30 minutes straight into the camera to share advice. Again, we're turning negatives into positives. Let's talk about that conversation as well, okay? In our program, we have a example. Again, we're always giving examples, always giving students examples of what it could be, then apply it to your own circumstances. This, again, is a playbook coming out of what journalists do. If you ever watch a journalist do a one-on-one interview with somebody important, then this should look familiar. When the student is getting ready for that Q&A, we don't want the student to just have a list of questions, question, answer, and then they just keep asking the next question with no regard for what the person said most recently. We want to, as much as possible, teach students to say, our next question should be related to what the person said most previously. Okay, so instead of it being like, what is your name? What is your job? What do you do in your job? What are your hobbies? We can go further. We can push students to do more. And the way we do that is by talking, even through Zoom before we do our Q&As, talking about active listening skills. So important today that we listen above all else, because listening opens doors. Okay, so let's talk about an example of where we use our listening skills. What's your name and what do you do for a living? My name is Cindy Lee and I'm Vice President of Acme Bank. Okay, interesting. As Vice President, what do you do for the bank? I oversee all of our bank tellers and bank managers at 17 locations. It's a big job. Can somebody tell me what would be a good question after that line? What would be, if she says it's a big job, what should the student say next? What would you say next? In a Q&A, learning about a career, what would be the next logical question after a line like that? And if you look a little bit into the gray below, you'll see it sitting right there. But I want to, that's right. That's a good question. Stephanie, what's your favorite part? We also could go with, why is it such a big job? Okay, any of your questions are good. The point is that you're listening and responding to what they said. Okay, we've talked a lot in here about networking skills. If somebody says, I had the best weekend of my life, you should come back with, what did you do? Instead of saying, oh, so did I. And then the person's like air out of the balloon because they were so ready to tell you about their weekend and you ripped it away. Same thing here. She said, it's a really big job. She's hoping someone says to her, why is it such a big job? And she says, well, thank you for asking, right? I'm so glad you asked that question. She was begging you to ask that question, right? Listening skills build relationships and rapport. Well, I'm in charge of 132 bank tellers and 32 managers. Every day, my team handles more than 8 million of our customers' money. So she was excited to ask that question. And then 8 million, wow. Do you keep all the money in a big safe? No, the money is stored electronically in our computer systems. So if I want your team to give me my money, what do I do? Okay, she said you'd use an ATM, blah, 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 blah. That's the end of this little scenario, but you see what's going on here. We are preparing students to speak to employers really in person, virtually, however, but in the circumstances right now, we have to have students practice their active listening. They can do it with each other through Zoom or through Google Meet, through Teams, whatever you're using. They can practice active listening and then take that skill to a live environment in a virtual tour or a virtual Q&A, okay? Because these skills can be transferable all over the place. Obviously, this is not just limited to internships, but that's where we are today. And that's the theme of today's webinar. So I want us to think in that context. How can we teach active listening from a distance and then have students practice active listening with employers from a distance? Okay? All right, let's go to our next topic. Jennifer says, have a Q&A questions ready as a backup if you need them, depending on how much information the person gives you. Also true. They might give you a lot of, we don't want students to ask lots of yes or no questions, but they might give short answers. And then it starts to stagnate. So yes, these questions also will keep the dialogue going. And I promise you, if you ask a person to talk about their career background or a project they just finished, they might never stop talking. Can we all agree with that statement? That once you get somebody going on what they want to talk about, they might never stop. I see the hands being raised. We're all human, right? If you get us going on what we're passionate about, AKA ourselves, oh, how much time do you need? Suddenly my next appointment got canceled. I'll keep talking to this student about my career path and tell them everything I've ever learned, right? That's what I talk about, giving people the time of day. They keep talking about themselves, they come to like you more. It's a wild thing, but it works. And it's how we can build relationships even from home. Don't let this moment, this pandemic, define your opportunities. Pass that on to your students. This is still a time to open doors. This is still a time to impress people. And it can all be done from the computer. Let's move on. Let's switch our thinking now to interoffice communication. This can be done within your own internship cohort, or if the student actually has a virtual internship, they can be using this skill to communicate with the employer to update them on what's going on. Now, let's say in the context, I know most people here, gauging it even in the few days coming up to this webinar, most of us do not have internships lined up for our students. So let's use it as an opportunity to practice among the interns, okay? Let's say that they're working on a project together, and one person has been tasked this particular time with updating the team on what's going on. Again, this is an opportunity from a virtual perspective to teach office skills. Maybe skills they wouldn't have even learned in a physical internship because it wouldn't have been put on them to do. But now that it's virtual and we're home, you can have them do all kinds of things and decide for them what they are going to learn and what matters. Let's talk about how you update the team on a big project. Sending an email that tells everyone what's going on, what's to come, okay? Subject line, updates on, for instance, Project Alpha. I have several updates about about Project Alpha. I'll lay them out as clearly as I can. If we have a big piece of information that should be above all the other information, put it there first. We talked before about bottom line up front. It's used in the military. Put your main point of the message high up so I can see it. Don't bury it. Then, so we've been given strict orders from upstairs to have the first trial phase completed by March 23rd. So we'll need to buckle down and push through the remaining tasks. That's the biggest thing to know right now. Then we instruct students, when you're sharing lots of information, do not write a giant paragraph. And we probably all tell our students, do not write an email as one gigantic paragraph. It doesn't work. Nobody wants to read that, and it's hard to find the information. Instead, when there's lots of little information, we use bullet points. So we encourage students to use bullets to let the reader absorb each item one at a time. And then when we are speaking to our teammates, we put the teammate's name in bold. For instance, Regina said she'll continue to work on the glitch whenever we try to put the program into sleep mode. Donald, can you have the updated report on the analytic capabilities by Friday? So someone couldn't say later, oh, I didn't see you told me to do that. I didn't see you called me. No, I put your name in bold. And you could even put them in yellow highlight, making sure that everyone knows what they have to do next. And these are skills that are critical in an office as part of a team that students can learn while they are home. By incorporating communication skills, professional development skills around the work you're having them do. Because this is an important part of the process, all right? So I wanted to show you this example as a way to help with their inter-office communication, however that shakes out for you this summer. With your own interns, with you, with an actual company, this skill matters. And it demonstrates to employers that you can be trusted on a project with an actual team. Next topic. And we're coming up to our last couple topics to leave time for Q&A. As always, try to finish 15 minutes after the hour. I want to value your time. Now, critical client communication issue. How to relay that you're fixing a problem. Okay, what do we do when the client says something's broken, something didn't work, this thing got shipped to me, it was the wrong thing? What is our next step as the client, as the customer, or the company providing the service or product? Let me ask a question to the group. When something goes wrong, Do you respond right away and say you're working on it, or do you not respond at all until you fixed it? Do you respond right away and say you're working on it, or do you wait till it's finished and then say we fixed it? That's right. I knew you'd all know the answer. Nothing drives a client crazier, and from my own experience working with clients across the country in public relations, is when you are not communicative. When you go dark, especially when something's gone wrong and they're freaking out and they're upset and you're not answering. And they're like, what is this? Not only did something go wrong, I can't even reach them. So we teach students through a this activity is part of a simulate, like a storyline. We teach them to be upfront and transparent and accountable as soon as possible. Clients do not need you to fix the problem. They understand things take time to fix. They just need to know you're working on it. And then they're not going to be breathing fire, right? So we teach students to send a message on one of the most sensitive client communication issues, which is to fix a problem. That's right. Clients are used to not responding. Or in their head, and we've all done this. We say in our head, I'm fixing that, and I said it mentally in my head that I'm fixing it, forgetting that we never actually told the person who wrote to us that we're fixing it. And they're sitting on the other end, pulling their hair out, losing money, losing value, who knows what. Okay, so this is the example email that we can show them to then practice in their own scenario. You can use a scenario we give you. You can use a scenario you create. Hi, so-and-so or everyone, I want to let you know we are aware of the problem, the mistake with the shipment of hard drives to California. Our team is working on the problem now and will continue to provide updates as they come available. And then in this case, they passed on some other information about just work going on while they're touching base. We can confirm the shipment of monitors to Ohio, blah, blah, blah. But right away, it's like, we're on it. See, we see the problem, working on the problem, going to get right back to you with an update or a solution. And that is effective client communication. And when we talk about internships, the intern may be tasked with communicating with customers, maybe not. Maybe they're just watching someone else do it. And they may not even have the opportunity to practice a skill like this because they're just shadowing. And we don't always know what they're doing when they're shadowing. And we put the burden or the responsibility sometimes on that person in that company or office setting to handle this teaching, and we don't know if they are doing it or doing it effectively. But in this case, since students are home, we can have them work on it, and we can make sure they practice the skill because we can set the agenda in different ways than in previous years. It's just different now. And again, I want this for students to feel like they're gaining real skills, short, quick, micro lessons that will help them build up confidence. All right, the last topic, and then we'll get to a Q&A. See, Karen, our schools are not communicating what's going on as we end the Yes, the goal, Mirab, would be that they can walk through these lessons without your prompt. Although if you want to treat it as like a group exercise, then you sort of dispatch them to work on it, talk about the value first, and then have them work on it. That's always better. But the goal is for students to practice these skills from home, self-directed. Let's talk about the last part. Let's just zip right to the end of our internship, zip to the end of this webinar of this instructional portion. And let's talk about writing that internship reflection. Okay, what should go in that reflection, both written reflection and even a video presentation? How many of you have students typically do a reflection on an internship, either along the way or at the end? How many of you incorporate reflections? Lots of hands being raised. Okay, so let's talk about how they could speak about a virtual internship and a reflection and make it carry the same weight as if they had a real internship, because the skills they're learning are just as real here as anywhere else. So we have it in 4 parts. We're always breaking these things down into parts and models Simple, simple, simple. Who wants complicated? I don't see many hands being raised for complicated, right? Hands are not going to be clicking that hand button for complicated. Nobody wants that. So there's 4 parts. We're going to do an overview of the internship and what we learned. We're going to talk about the steps we took to complete it, what we had to do, the tools we used, the skills we gained. Write about a conclusion or outcome, who we are now at the end, and reflecting on why the internship was significant. And you can use this. I see some of you saying, we do weekly journaling or bi-weekly journaling. You can use the same model as they're going along the way and summarizing what they're learning as they learn it. But they're reflecting on why it was significant. Just to show you a couple parts. My internship focused on developing professional skills, like writing, speaking, and engaging with others in the business community. Instead of interning at a physical location, I did a series of online lessons and communicated with classmates and business professionals via email, phone, and video conference. Who would look down upon that? First of all, everyone knows what's going on right now. Not one person on earth is unaware of the pandemic and what it's doing to education. So all the student is saying now is, I could have just given up on my summer or given up on my internship, but instead I hung in there and look at everything that I learned, because I chose to push myself rather than take the summer off. Then the last part, let's just hop to the last part. The virtual internship showed me I can learn just as much in an online setting as I can in a physical internship location. It's all about how hard I choose to work and my willingness to stay focused, even when it would be easier to use the summer to take a break from learning, just like I said. That would speak volumes to an employer, to college admissions, a scholarship committee. We talk a lot in our program about storytelling. We should all have remarkable stories to tell out of this experience and how we could have given up, we could have walked away, but instead we dug in. And for students to come out of a virtual internship using those types of words and evoking that idea, that makes them dynamic and attractive to anybody who will someday be hiring or selecting or picking again, which the world will start up again. And these students will be ready for that moment. So I wanted to end on that aspirational idea. And as we roll into the conclusion, I do want to remind everybody, hop back to that screen, that we do have a virtual internship curriculum outline, 10 pages with topics week by week. It's a 16-week outline with topics and a real honest to goodness activity embedded in each one that you can take and use. If you're interested, please type the word interested and your email address in the chat. What we like to do is have a brief conversation, help you look at the content, make it fit into your world. And if this weekend or Memorial Day are okay for you to chat, let us know, because I know we have a holiday weekend coming up, and I'd rather get it to you sooner than later. Okay, Katrina asked, do you foresee these needing to align with, well, I hope these align with, I know, especially on the CTE side, across the country, employability skills are usually that foundational standard. In Virginia, in Georgia, in California, where we do a lot of work, I know it's there. And these skills are right there. Anything they're going to learn from professional development, communication, is going to check those boxes. So you can feel confidently that you're addressing these skills through a virtual opportunity, even though it's not a true internship in the classic sense. These skills are going to matter, and you're going to be able to prove you taught what the state had mandated you do. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm happy to stay another 3-4 minutes if anybody has questions about, we showed you some ideas for the employability professional development side and how to fill that time and give them meaningful work. If anyone else has questions, yeah, Eileen says, it fits with CTE standards, Perkins 5. Yeah, I mean, this is not stepping outside of what we already teach. It's just making it more and more relevant for where we are right now, especially on the virtual Q&A, the virtual tours. That's new stuff. But we can apply these same communication skills in those environments. The same outcome will happen. Anybody else have anything to ask, anything to add? Vendored with Department of Rehabilitation. Hey, one day, hope so. I appreciate everybody being here. I was so glad to have such a nice turnout and a nice response to this this topic. And please remember as well to look out for our link coming soon. Put it on your calendar, how to be the most engaging online instructor at your school. Let's practice over the summer how to step into the spotlight, so to speak, in the fall and really wow our students, put together dynamic class sessions, make them look forward to seeing us and learn how to engage to keep their attention. You saw in my presentation, I'm asking you questions all the time. I'm getting you to comment all the time. I'm not allowing your eyes to drift, to look at your phone, to go on Facebook. I'm keeping you here. And we have to have that same mindset with our students. We're going to talk about that on June 4th at 12:30. So please join us then. We'll keep the dialogue going. Can you go back to the slide about the internship outline? Yes. These are the themes that we cover in our outline. Again, these are suggested topics. It's a broad overview. It doesn't fill every hour of every day, but it'll give you a starting point and some activities to plug in there and some context around what you could hit upon to make it a meaningful experience for students. I appreciate everybody requesting this outline. We'll get it out to you as soon as possible. We will have a recording. Thank you, Trish. You're on Team Rubin today. We're going to send out the link to the recording shortly and follow up with folks who've requested it. Please look out for a calendar invitation. Hit yes if the time works or suggest a different time. And then we'll have a discussion about this and pass along these resources. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great holiday weekend. Be safe, whatever you're doing. And also, yeah, thank you for that question, Mary Jo. We've done 4 other webinars, and they're all posted on our Rubin YouTube channel. And you'll see the webinar from today will be linked there. And the other webinars are there too. So they're all like 45 minutes in length, and you can watch any of them back or share them with students, whatever you want to do. This is the 5th one. And so it's almost 5 hours now of webinar instruction on all different topics. So please feel free to take a look at our YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody. Grateful to have you here, and hope we see you again in 2 weeks. Any last thoughts before I hit the end button here and end our whole thing? Thank you. It means a great deal to have you all. I was disappointed to have every conference I intended to attend this spring and summer be canceled. Never expected to be able to reach people this way. It's been a silver linings to be able to use Zoom and to talk to everybody in this setting, since we can't get out on the road and see each other like we wanted to this summer. The one for remote presenters, Jeff, is June 4th. You'll see it come out soon. The YouTube channel name is Rubin. Our YouTube channel is Rubin, R-U-B-I-N, and you'll see a link to it with today's webinar later on today, and then you can explore. YouTube doesn't give like a nice clean link for their YouTube channels, but it's Rubin with our blue logo. Yeah, and I do have another haircut set for later in June, so you won't see my big puffy curly hair anymore. It's long gone. All right, thank you, everybody. Enjoy your rest of your day and have a great holiday weekend.